Okay, the name is George Mcintosh, and I was born in 1921
Well, where did you grow up? Where did you go to high school?
in Kansas City, Missouri.
George, do you remember when you were in high school and you were a delivery boy on a bicycle?
That's correct, yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember that you had to deliver a singing telegram to somebody?
No, that's right, yeah.
It was a senator, or was he a governor? I can't remember. Senator Truman, maybe? Wasn't your boss asking you about who can sing? And you said, "Oh, I can sing because my dad's in the
A conductor.
conductor."
Conductor, yeah. But they didn't tell him it was a streetcar conductor.
Okay. You delivered a singing telegram and you rode your bike 8 miles and you delivered the singing telegram and they didn't give you a tip and you knocked on the door and gave him the singing telegram and it was for his daughter, wasn't it?
That's correct, yeah.
Can you say that? It was for
Well, we gave it to the gentleman, and he called his daughter over, and then we gave it to her, and then
and you sang it happy birthday to her, right?
I sang happy birthday to her, and then it came back down and landed. So
But he stiffed you, right? He didn't give you a tip?
he didn't give me a tip, no.
And so you didn't like him after that, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Why did you go into military service?
Well, the whole class was going to go into military service, and I thought I'd tag along with them. So
You were on your way down to sign up for the Marine Corps, and one of your buddies said, "Hey, you know what? They're taking pilots that just have a high school degree."
that's right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you said, "Holy smoke!" And you said, "I'm going back to high school," and you finished up your last year of high school, and then you went in the Navy as a pilot, right?
That's correct, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So that was a really good deal, and that was real special because
Yeah.
most pilots had a college degree.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. How long after Pearl Harbor did you go in? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Do you have any idea?
Oh, I'd say within a year I went in.
Within a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, I guess I volunteered to be a pilot, and they let me get in airplanes and start flying right away. So
Had you ever flown before?
one time we flew up in a place we were in a real small airplane. They flew us around and landed. That was about it. So that was my only experience. That was my first experience in the air. So
You went into the Navy and then all of a sudden you were going to be a pilot. Did that come as a surprise to you?
no, I don't think it was a surprise because that was what I was being trained for, to be a Navy pilot. That little plane back there was our first type of airplane. I think was right there. So
Was this was a Dauntless
yeah,
dive bomber?
I think that was it. Yeah. Hmm. Well, it was great to fly the airplane. We had a guy in the back with a gun, and so we'd fly up at the higher average at high notice, and then come down for bombing people, bombing places, and things like that. So it was quite exciting. It was a naval air station on the East Coast, so that's where we started flying.
I thought you started your training in a steerman.
Yeah, I believe it was a steerman on the East Coast.
It's on the East Coast?
Yeah. Mhm.
When did you get trained by Ensign Gay? The Japanese and the Americans were duking it out, and they each had carrier groups there. The Japanese had far more firepower, ships, whatever, and of course I think we only had 3 carriers in there, but we were sneaking around trying not to get seen. And so what eventually happened was the Japanese couldn't decide if they wanted to bomb Midway or if they needed to go back after the carriers. And so once they found the carriers, they couldn't decide. And what eventually happened is we caught them in the middle of trying to receive aircraft and trying to switch over from bombs to torpedoes or this or that. And that's how we got them. But one of the flight groups went in, and you know that story, George. Tell me that story about Ensign Gay. You knew that about the how his group went in, and the commander, they were sent on a vector, and the commander said, "Oh no, I can sense where they are," and he deviated from the course, and he found their carriers, and he didn't wait for fighter
I think the fighter group
escorts, right?
group went a different direction.
Something like that, yeah.
Torpedo
And
bombers
so
came
he
in.
decided to go in without any kind of fighter escort, and they shot all of them down. And the only guy that lived out of the whole thing was Ensign Gay, and he went in the water, and he watched the whole battle from the water.
Yeah.
And then eventually he got picked up by a PBY. So that was the Ensign Gay story. And do you know any more than that? I don't know that real well.
About it, but I think
But anyway, then after that, he went stateside, and then he, at one point, was your instructor,
That's right,
right?
yeah.
Now, was that in the TBMs?
That was in torpedo bombers, yeah.
TBMs.
TBMs,
Okay.
yeah.
Had you flown in any other kind of torpedo bomber before that?
No, that was the only.
That was it, huh?
That was it, yeah.
Okay.
you remember your carrier landings, Dad? Do you remember how many carrier landings you had? And
Oh, golly.
like, didn't you have like
Just what is it like landing on a carrier? It seems like such a short runway.
It is. We come in with your head your up like this, and then as soon as you cross the edge of the ship, you cut your engine and just go down and land. Normally, wheels first, and then it had a big tail back there that you'd stop you. Catch your tail would catch a wire crossing the ship there, and that would stop you.
Is that a scary experience? It seems like, at least the first couple of times, it seems like something you'd wonder, can I really do this?
Yeah, I don't think it was really that scary because I think we were pretty good landing things like that. So I think all of our landings went pretty good. I don't think we lost any planes that way.
well, you didn't, but you had some crewmen that crashed, didn't you? That crashed taking off or landing.
Oh, one of our pilots, he wasn't very good. He took off twice, and in different times, but he 2 times he took off to make a after seeing clear the plane, that cleared the ship, he had to make a turn to the left to start climbing up, and 2 times he went in the ocean. He let it get away from him, and he crashed in the ocean. He wasn't killed, but he was crashed twice. But he didn't fly anymore. They didn't let him fly anymore. So
Is he the one that kept ducking his head down after when you got for checking out the plane? You said some guy would just get down and you wouldn't be able to see him.
oh yeah, that was another guy. Before we'd take off, he wasn't a very good pilot either. So, but if we take off, we'd sit in our planes for a while, checking all the gears and everything like that to make sure we're ready. And most of us would look down and get up, and he would put his head down and keep his head down, checking all the stuff under him, and that was kind of funny. We used to kid him about that, but he finally made it okay. So
What about when you were in Miami training with George Gay was your instructor, and one day you went out on the beach and was throwing the ball around. Remember that? Baseball, he loved baseball. Still loves baseball. Who were you throwing the ball around to?
was it Ted Williams?
Yeah, Ted Williams. Wasn't he a carrier pilot?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's who you were. You said when you caught that ball, your hands hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, that was sure. That was sure true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, not many people got a chance to play baseball or fly with Ted Williams.
That's right. Yeah.
Was he a good pilot?
He was. Yeah. Real good.
Was it unusual at that time to have somebody who was famous for being an athlete who would go put themselves in a combat role like that?
I'd say probably yes. Flying the torpedo bomber, and that was our main flight, main airplane to fly. So
The TBMs, they were the torpedo bombers, right?
Yes, they were. But there was one before that. There was a
TBF.
what was
It's a
it?
TBF, but it's the same
Well, there was
thing.
another one before that that was low and slow. I mean, it was slow, and it kept getting shot down. And I don't remember if George flew one of those or not. But
I
then,
don't think so.
Then the TBM was a lot faster, not god awful fast, but I mean, it was better than the other one.
That's
That was-
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd take off, climb up, and then at that point we would push over, go down and drop our bombs, and fly out of there and come back and a little later and bomb them again. So
If you were attacking a ship, what would that be like? Would you be bombing from a high angle, or would you be lower towards the ocean?
it'd be lower toward the ocean. We'd come in lower and drop our bombs, and they'd go on in and hit the ships. We'd drop the bombs, they'd go underwater, and then come back up.
How close did you have to get to the ships before you could drop the torpedoes to hit them?
Well, I can't remember just what, but we dropped pretty close.
You flew off the Ticonderoga.
Yeah.
What was your squadron?
It was BT-87, yeah.
Did you fly mostly against attacking other ships, or were there other targets on land as well?
Oh yeah, we would hit targets on land, but mainly it was against other ships.
Was there a lot of anti-aircraft fire that you had to deal with from the ships that were?
Yeah, quite a bit of anti-aircraft fire, yeah.
Did you get hit one time?
Well, I know we were coming down low when they took a shot at us, and when it went up through the plane, through the wing, and we got hit, and pieces hit us in the side of the head. So that's about what happened.
Okay.
But went ahead and went in and landed and got back okay.
What happened when you got hit and it wasn't bad, but you told the guys in the back that you'd been hit? What did they say?
Well, I made a mistake in saying that.
Didn't you reach back and feel there was blood on your neck and head?
Yeah.
But weren't the guys in the back about ready to jump out because they heard you'd been hit?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it wasn't bad.
No.
But they were all
I
excited.
made a mistake by saying, well, I just got hit, and they says, what? Yell what? I could hear them up there screaming,
That was the only time you got hit, wasn't it, George?
As far as I can remember, yeah.
Did you get along okay with the crew guys?
Oh, yeah, no problem at all.
They
Yeah,
were good guys.
yeah.
How many guys were on the back, and what were their jobs?
There was one guy right behind me. He was a, well, see, my mind is shot. he did one thing, but we had another guy in the tail end, and his job was to take pictures of other planes that get too close to us. And the guy behind me, I can't remember just what his job was, but
Wasn't he a gunner?
he was a gunner, yeah.
And the guy that was taking pictures, he was down at the bottom of the plane, right?
That's
Wasn't
right.
he the radio man?
The radio man, yeah.
Was he able to help guide you into where you were supposed to attack?
I think he was, yeah.
Did you ever have a chance to do any strafing when you were going on the land targets?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Describe what you would do when that would happen.
Pardon?
Describe what it would be like to strafe a target.
Oh, we'd come down, we'd always start high, then come down low, and then go start strafing as soon as we got within range. And that was always fun to do.
What was your target?
Other planes that were not ours.
The TBM, was it a fairly large plane?
It was, yeah.
Was it maneuverable?
Oh, yeah. It was.
If you got yourself in any kind of trouble, would you be able to get out of the way or be able to do any kind of maneuvers to try to help yourself? But
Oh, yeah, you could really move that thing around very easily, so.
did you have fighters helping you out to keep the Zeros away
Oh,
from
yeah,
you?
yeah, we had fighters cover it, yeah.
Did the Zeros ever get close to where you guys were on your bomb runs, torpedo runs?
No, I don't think they got that close. They were taken care of pretty well by the fighters.
What about the kamikazes that came down on your carrier or close to your carrier? Well, you were just down on. You were supposed to. All the pilots were supposed to be down below, and you guys would sneak up and just saw the kamikazes coming in. It didn't hit your plane at that time, but they got real close. Your battle or your bombing in Okinawa, you guys dropped napalm on those caves in Okinawa, and then you came back through.
Yeah, I think you're correct, yeah.
Was that an unusual thing for you to do?
Oh, yes.
Do you, was it unusual to be attacking a target on land like that, in the kind of plane that you were in?
No, we would go in and drop bombs on planes on the island quite often, yeah. The Japanese were all on their little caves and everything. We'd come along and down low and drop our bombs into the caves and get them that way. So, and we'd come down at the end of the area, right along, and they'd be in their little huts or little place hiding, and we just go in and drop our bombs right into their living places.
Yeah, but who else you knew was in Okinawa?
My brother,
Yeah,
and he was killed in Okinawa.
yeah. And you were doing bombing raids around that same time, weren't you?
That's correct, yeah.
But you didn't know till what, 60 days later that he was killed?
That's correct, yeah. Well, I was still out at sea, and then my family got it and sent me a information about a letter telling him that he had been shot down. So
Had you been able to see your brother before you left to go overseas?
oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Was he was in Okinawa, was he in the Army, the Marines?
Marines, yeah. Charles Melvin,
He was in the 1st Marine Division,
yeah.
and he was only 17 when he joined up, so he's only 18 when he's killed. But he didn't know, Dad, you didn't know where he was, did you? You didn't know, you knew he was in the Marines, but you had no idea where he was.
Yeah, they never told us where he was, but we thought that we knew where he was, but it turned out he was in that area that was when he was shot down. So
Or shot on the ground,
yeah,
yeah.
Were you able to get letters back and forth to home regularly when you were overseas?
We had letters every once in a while, but not very often.
Being on a ship, you didn't always know where you were going to be, were you?
That's right. But we did get the letter, and that's when they sent the letter to us that Charles had been killed.
Do you remember the story of towards the end of the war that you told me, where you took off and you were in Tokyo Bay, and then you were going to go in and bomb either a public service plant or an electrical plant?
Yeah, well, it was a power plant
Okay.
that we went in to bomb those. Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us that story, that whole thing that went down and what happened?
Well, we went in and dropped our bombs and everything, and then went back and landed back aboard our aircraft carrier.
Do you remember in August, or actually July 26th or 28th, when you guys had the mission to go into Kure Bay in Japan and bomb the battleship Hyuga?
Hyuga, yeah.
That was a converted battleship to a carrier. One of the few the Japanese had
Yeah, I
made.
think you're correct there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had just learned about your brother was killed, so you're pretty hostile. And remember, this boat was coming out, and this destroyer was shooting at you, and this other small PT boat was going, and you just did a circle around, and you went in and got him. And then your crewmen told you that that's for your brother.
Yeah, I remember him saying that, but I don't remember just about going around and shooting the guy. So I must have shot him, but then the guy behind me said, "That's for your brother." So that was nice to hear. So, I got a medal for doing that. So I've got
What was the medal?
Was it the Navy Cross?
You're correct. Navy Cross is what we received. Yeah.
Why did you get a Navy Cross? Did you hit the battleship?
Well, I imagine that was the reason we got the Navy Cross. Yeah.
Boy,
You
did
got-
they ever.
You got 2 direct hits on that.
Yeah.
Out of 10 or 12 that hit the battleship, you got 2 direct hits that
Yeah.
day. Remember, you got that Navy Cross when you came back after your squadron was decommissioned and you got back to Washington.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Dad, don't you remember you guys were up about 18,000 feet and your fighters had just come in and you lost 5 of your fighters and you guys were heading down from 18, you were going down to 15, and
Bull Halsey from the carrier called up, says, cease hostilities, the war's over, the Japanese have surrendered. So the skipper, we went down from 10,000 to about 2,000, made a 180 degree, and went back and dropped our bombs in the ocean and went back and landed aboard the carrier.
But
And that was the end of World War II.
That's great. You pickled off your bombs though, right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
And but after we dropped our bombs, when we made that 180 degree turn, and that's when the skipper back at the ship said, that's the end of World War II.
Bill Halsey came on the air and told you to cease hostilities, the war's over, and you turn back around the bay. What did Bill Halsey say?
Pardon?
If you saw any Japanese Zeros
Oh, yeah.
flying around.
Yeah, he says, I think he said, shoot something like the bastards down in a friendly fashion. Yeah. Yeah.
So you hadn't been friendly up to that point.
That's right. Yeah.
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 A day or 2 or 3 later, what were you supposed to do? They put you guys into service. Going back in there.
Prisoner camps. What did you do with the prisoner camps? Remember the movie Unbroken? They're talking about you in there at the end, right?
Remember they loaded you guys up with food and you flew over the POW camps and dropped food in to the guys?
Yeah, we did that, and it was a great day because they were down there on the ground, had been prisoners,
Right.
and when we flew over, we'd drop them, and they would be down there cheering us on.
Yeah. Didn't you throw candy bars and stuff out of the cockpit?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Ask him about
and that was a mighty fine day for us
Yeah.
and for the guys on the
bet.
ground.
Okay.
We dropped candy bars and all kind of food down to the prisoners of war.
Okay.
and,
Did you? Okay.
And they thought they were down there cheering us on, and we'd go in low and drop, and that was a great day to do that.
Okay, and that was in the movie Unbroken. Where did you drop the candy bars and the food to? Where were the camps at? Was that in Tokyo, George, or was that somewhere else?
That was in Tokyo area.
It was Tokyo.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
The planes would fly in and we would drop food, I mean candy and stuff like to the prisoner of war there on that island, and they were down there cheering us on. So that was a wonderful day. When we got the guys back from being prisoners of war.
Then, when they had the signing of the Japanese signing the surrender, do you remember that? The part you had in that?
1,000 planes came flying over the Missouri, and you
Yeah,
came real low,
Yeah,
and the emperor was signing the surrender papers.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that story?
Oh yeah.
Can you expound on that?
Well, I know we'd come down real low and go
And
right.
how many planes were there?
I think we had about 1,000 planes. Yeah, when they told us come on in, we'd pushed over, we'd go down and go right by the other ships, right along the side of them. And
What about after the war, Dad? Didn't you go start training pilots on flying the Corsair?
yes, I did. Yeah. Hmm.
What was flying a Corsair like after being in a big torpedo bomber?
You told me that engine was so big in that Corsair, a lot of your pilots you were training, they'd hit the gas and they just, either flip it or make it go down.
But you had to be careful when they were doing touch and goes. They couldn't ram the throttles to the firewall because it was so torquey it would flip over, wouldn't it?
That's correct. Yeah. But I can't remember them being tricky to fly. We just flew them. They were pretty hot airplanes, but I never had any problems with them.
Well, you were a good pilot. It wasn't tricky for you.
I guess maybe I was lucky. So
You had been training Corsair pilots for years, and you thought, well, I'd be perfect to go over to Korea, but for some reason you got turned down. You didn't find that out why till years later. You put the papers in, and you knew you'd be going to Korea, and was all excited, and then you got turned down, and you didn't know why for years later until you got back with your reunion, your squadron reunion, and your skipper told you he saw your paper in there and threw it out.
is that right?
Yeah, he didn't want, he knew your brother was killed, he didn't want you to go over there and get killed.
After World War II, what did you do? Did you go to school?
And it was Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa. Yeah.
Okay.
You went to do that so you could go back in the Navy, right?
So when did you get married?
And you got married in 51, and you stayed in the Navy for another, you retired the Navy in 67, right? 1967.
That's when I retired from the Navy. Yeah.
You were in Washington D.C., weren't you?
Yeah. Mhm.
And you were checking out. Didn't you go to Arlington Cemetery?
Oh yeah.
And you said you were. Tell me that story. You remember that you told me? That you were looking at plots out there, and since you got the Navy Cross, you can be buried there. Remember what you told me about that?
That's right. And the spot I selected was up on the hill, and It was really, I went up there and walked around. It was real nice. And then I forget who it was. And
Took your
kinda-
spot, right?
Yeah.
It
And
was
made
John
me,
F. Kennedy, wasn't it?
that's correct. Well, you got a good memory. Y'all made me mad that they buried him.
Yeah, they took your spot. That wasn't very nice.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
hasn't had good luck with presidents, has he?
No, hasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a-
good story.
I didn't like that very much, but of course I didn't say anything, so.
I think you're in charge of recruiting here for Colorado in the Navy in 1963 and 4. And then you got a job in South Weymouth, Massachusetts, remember?
Yeah, that's when I went over to South Weymouth, yeah.
Right. And then right after you retired, you had a retirement ceremony in South Weymouth in 1967.
So then you were a commander?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. Then what did you do after you retired from the Navy? Didn't you fly in Vietnam?
Yeah, I did fly in Vietnam. I was flying from Air America in the Pacific area.
What was that plane? Do you remember these flying?
C-47.
Was it a C-47, George?
It was a C-47, yeah.
Okay.
Remember you had to land on a butte and you only had so many feet to land or you go off the edge? Remember that story?
And the other guy was flying?
Yeah, well, I think Dad was flying first time, and you had a retired Air Force officer that was your co-pilot, and he said you did all right on the job, but he'll try to show you how to land it next time.
Well, he cut the power, and we went down and in going in to land this on this little island, went down too low, and he hit the wings. I mean the wheels. He hit the ground and flipped us up like this, and we went down the runway like this, and then finally stopped, and the plane went back, and I got out, and I forget what this young kid came running up and laughing at us because we'd made a poor landing. I remember that, yeah.
Did it wreck the plane?
Yeah, they had to take the plane and take care of all the bad parts that were injured. So when they said, "Let me show you how to land it," and he did it, and then we hit the ground, and then we finally stopped, and he got out and says, "That's the way you land the damn thing," something like that.
Or land the son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Did that guy fly it anymore after that?
No, he didn't.
Did you did you punch him or anything?
Oh no.
You were in the Tet Offensive, weren't you? Weren't you in that era when you were in the Tet Offensive?
Yeah.
You were going to tell a story about that time you're real close to some action and you had landed and they wouldn't let you go, but you got into this grass hut. Well, you and your other co-pilot, were in this what you kind of described as a bamboo / grass type hut that you're in, and you could hear the bombs real close and everything. So you thought you should get your flare gun because they were getting real close, and you went to sleep with the flare gun in your hand and it went off.
I can't remember that.
I think you woke up and you thought they were bombing you, but the flare was going bouncing off the walls in the hut. Remember?
Yeah,
And you
I
got under
remember
the
that,
bed.
but I don't remember what caused it. So
Yeah.
George, do you remember us talking about going down to Arizona and talking to Senator McCain? Do you remember we were talking about going down there and just doing a visit with him? Because you knew his grandfather, didn't you?
oh yeah,
But his grandfather was the captain of one of your ships, wasn't he?
I think he
And,
was.
and
Yeah.
didn't he wave at you one time when you were taking off?
Yeah, he did. I was taken off the ship and I taxied out. Yeah, he saluted me rather
Oh,
as I
okay.
went out.
Okay. And so we were going to go down and see if we could just meet with him and talk to him because now Senator McCain,
He ditched 5 planes while he was training, and that was the one that you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
and he and some of it was just running out of gas, right?
Oh, I think all of them were running out of gas, yeah.
And then what were you going to tell him about your flying?
Oh, gosh, I can't remember that.
Well, weren't you going to tell him that he crashed 5 planes and you made it through a whole war and never put a scratch on your plane?
Yeah, I was gonna tell him that, yeah.
Do you remember what you told me? I said, we could drive down there or we could fly. You remember what you told me? You said you didn't want to fly because
No,
those planes were dangerous.
I don't remember that.
Don't you remember that?
I think I'm just kidding, of
Of
course.
course.
Yeah,
It seemed to me, you played baseball and loved baseball when you were younger.
yeah.
Did you like the team part of the Navy?
I'd say yes.
Do you think being in the Navy was a good experience for you?
Oh, great experience, yeah. Yeah, I love the Navy, yeah,
Is it something, would you do it again?
definitely, yeah, yeah.